Hello, it's Craig again from Just Genealogy. Today I want to talk about looking at an individual after the Great War, after World War One, and the kinds of records that you might be able to locate on him. I have received a request from one of our subscribers to look at this soldier, and so that's what we're going to do. So these are post-World War One records. And the individual that we're going to be talking about is a person by the name of Noel Andrew Byrd. Born, according to his tombstone found on Find a Grave, he's born in 1893, died in 1969, and he's buried in Fairview Cemetery in New Albany, Floyd County, Indiana. So I can assume at this point in time, based on this information, that he's from Indiana. So the first thing to do is to go get his 724 card. And this is a 724-1 card, which means that he was honorably discharged and that he was inducted. And if you look at the card, you can see that the word inducted in the center next to where it says Floyd County, Indiana, is the only thing that's left. They crossed out all the other stuff. Notice there's an address that changed. There is his name. There is his service number, 4420325. And he is white. He's born in New Albany, Indiana. And he was born on the 8th of June, 1893. And he served with the 161st Depot Brigade to November 15th, 1918. And then the Sub-Depot Quartermaster Corps, Camp Grant, Illinois, to discharge. He was promoted to corporal 6 March 1919. So that's after the war's over. Did he serve overseas? No. He was honorably discharged on demobilization on 26 March 1919. They liked him. They promoted him to corporal 20 days before he was discharged. And he had no disability. I'm going to assume that there was nothing on the back of the card because normally somebody who doesn't serve overseas and only is in a short period of time, and he's in for a short period of time, doesn't have anything on the back. So we can deal with several issues here. One is the 161st Depot Brigade, another is the quartermaster, and the other is Camp Grant, Illinois. So let's start with Camp Grant. Well, Camp Grant is near Rockford, Illinois. It was a divisional camp for draftees, a training and replacement center after that, and then a demobilization center. It was the home of the 86th Black Hawk Division, which was a depot division during the war. That means that the division itself did not see combat, but individuals in the division that went overseas more than likely did see combat, but they were attached to other divisions. In other words, they went over, they were in a depot in France, and from that depot in France, they got funneled out to other units as replacements. The 20th Division is also involved with Camp Grant because after the war, the 14th U.S. Infantry was detached from the 20th Division and assigned to Camp Grant, Illinois for station duty. Everybody else, except for the 2nd Infantry, got to go home not long after that. There is a map in the Center for Military History, publication 23, volume 4, that points to where Camp Grant is. And if you look along the northern border of Illinois and the southern border of Wisconsin, you'll see an arrow, and it points to where Camp Grant is. This map is found in that same volume, volume 4. Now, when we look at what else is in volume 4, it talks about Camp Grant specifically, and it talks about that it's named for Ulysses S. Grant, no surprise there, and it gets established the 18th of July, 1917, to serve as a training camp for the 86th Division, NA. The NA stands for National Army. So it talks about approximate numbers of people. This is really a big camp. Then we go and we look further, and it talks about the field hospital and 6 barracks to serve as hospital buildings. Still a big camp. There were a total of 1,515 buildings, and it could house 42,819 people. It cost about $14 million to create. So here's also a list of the camp commanders, if that was important to you. And then we look and see what troops are actually there, the station complement. Well, there's a remount depot, there's a barracks, there's a base hospital. There is the 161st Depot Brigade. Remember, that's who he was with, the 161st Depot Brigade. So we got the right Camp Grant, not that there is more than one. There are also divisional units there. The 6th Division is there. The 34th Division is there. The 42nd Division spends time there. So it goes through the 87th. It goes through everybody who's there that are members of divisional units. Then it will go and look at what the station complement is. And as I said, there's that 161st Depot Brigade. Then we can look at those divisional units a little bit better. Then there are non-divisional units. And that has to do with artillery. I don't know what the coastal artillery is doing there, but coastal artillery, medical department, motor transport, those kind of things. And there you see the Quartermaster Corps there, and that's where he eventually will end up, is with the Quartermaster Corps. Now, it doesn't get into the specifics of what he's in. He's likely in the service battalion. I was able to find a couple of pictures of Camp Grant. This one I decided to show you, which is a panorama of Camp Grant. I really enjoy panoramas, and there are a lot of them for World War I. And this came from Wikipedia. So what else do we learn from his 724 card? We learn his service number. Well, that number was assigned to him at Camp Grant because that's how it worked. Know that he was assigned to the quartermaster at Camp Grant through the war following training. He was promoted to corporal, and he was discharged. So that's what we get from there. So the next place we want to look is the U.S. Veterans Administration Master Index, 1917 to 1940. So the first place I'm going to look is Ancestry. And there's information on Noel Andrew Byrd. Date of birth, residence, discharge date from the military, date of death. So what we have now is nothing, because this is just information that was on a card somewhere, and Ancestry did not provide us with a copy of that card. So where do I go next? Well, when I go to Fold 3, I don't see them on Fold 3. When I go to Family Search, I find them on Family Search. And Family Search tells me, by the way, let me back up for a second. And this is a wiki on Family Search that you're going to want to read all of if you're dealing with these cards. There's a reason for it. I'll tell you about it later. So when we go to the actual records, it talks to us a little bit about them, tells us that the cards are there. So here's the card for Noel Andrew Byrd. And we'll talk about what each one of these things means. But meanwhile, in order for you to interpret this card, you have to have a copy of the VA Master Index card file, key to codes and prefixes. If you read through the wiki, you would see a link that would allow you to download this as a PDF. I actually keep this PDF fairly close to me because I'm asked this question a lot in what is a K mean, what does an A mean, those kinds of things. So let's see what we have on Noel's card. When we look at Noel's card, we have his service number. That matches what's on the 724 card. That's good. We have his birth date. Well, that's good too. That matches the 724 card. His enlistment date matches the 724 card. His discharge date matches the 724 card. What's not on the 724 card is his date of death. And his date of death is not on his tombstone either. So now we know that he died on the 2nd of November, 1969, something we didn't know before. Those numbers that are on that card now, there's a KC. That means there was a claim filed, it was assigned a number, and he is now deceased. If we go back and we look at the card, when the card was originally created, it was a C. Notice in the upper right-hand corner up here, it was a C, and then somebody eventually would put an X in front of it, and it looks like that X was put in front of it on the 17th of November, 1969. So within a few days of his death, the Army learned of his death, and they annotated his card with an XC, so that this claim, it would be known that this veteran was deceased. The K, this is the government insurance number. The A, this is the adjusted compensation bonus certificate number. Sorry, that's farther down. This is the adjusted compensation bonus file. Then the T is the war risk insurance folder. R would stand for rehabilitation. He didn't get any, he didn't need any. CT is his bonus certificate number, and he did not have any permanent or total disability. Adjusted compensation. Well, that is the Bonus Act of 1924. You can read all about the bonus army. Big deal after World War I in regards to getting a bonus. And they finally decided, once Harding was no longer president, and Coolidge was, and Coolidge really didn't want to do this either, that everybody wanted to get paid money and nobody wanted to pay them anything. So what they set up was this, you're going to get money in the future. They set up an adjusted service certificate so that you would be paid a total of, if you never went overseas, $500, $1 a day for every day you served, up to $500 if you didn't go overseas, and $1.25 a day, up to $625 if you did go overseas. So the most you could get was either $500 if you didn't go overseas, he didn't go overseas, or $625 if you did. And they would mail under a cover letter this certificate to you, and it would entitle you to so much in 1945. That was the goal. Now, there were circumstances, according to the law, where you could get some. If you died, it got paid. Heirs got it. If it was under $50, you just got it immediately. There were all kinds of nuances associated with the law. If you really care, go and look at it. So, where are the records for the United States of America Adjusted Service Certificate, aka the Bonus Act? Well, if you go to the National Archives and you go and try to find the Bonus Act finance cards, you will find this piece of paper located at the Washington National Records Center, that would be out in Suitland, in accession number 70-A-6324, are 154 cubic feet of World War I bonus finance cards, which were created in connection with the administration of the Adjusted Service Compensation Program 1924 to 1940. These cards are unscheduled. Since the program to which they relate is no longer active, they are proposed for immediate destruction, disposition, destroy immediately. Government strikes again. They don't think about genealogists, do they? The next number is his war risk insurance number. And guess what? Does this look familiar? They also destroyed the unconverted, lapsed World War I yearly renewable war risk term insurance folders identified under the policy prefix of T. And you do remember that his war risk insurance number was there at the letter T. So his records were also destroyed. So we've hit an absolute zero in what we're going to be able to find up to this point. Now, whenever I'm dealing with these soldiers, whenever I'm dealing with any soldier, I'm also going to look at the Department of Veterans Affairs IRLS death file and see if there's anything there. And there is nothing for Noel Byrd. I looked for Andrew Byrd. I looked for Noel Andrew Byrd. I looked for BIRD. I looked under all the variations. I even looked by birth date and death date. Surprisingly, the number of people that was born at the same day he was born. Just nobody died on the same day if they were born on the same day. So basically, he came up as 0. So what is next? What should we do next? Well, my recommendation is you do have an XC file. The XC files have all been turned over to St. Louis. I would recommend that you send to St. Louis and see what you can find under this claim number for Noel Andrew Byrd. And that's what's next. Now that can take 6 months to 9 months. And as soon as we get that file back, we may have a look at it and we may be able to answer some questions out of it. So the most important thing that you can do at this point, for any of you not associated with Noel Andrew Byrd, is to go back to Family Search, plug in the VA Master Index Card file, and click that PDF link that will download the various codes. Now, I only talked about the codes that are on this card. There are other cards. There are other codes on that document that will be of interest to you, regardless of the war. So this has been Craig at Just Genealogy, where we're converting people doing genealogy into genealogists day by day. Please be sure to hit that bell and that notification button so you know every day when I do, in fact, post something new, which has been every day. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. God, I hate saying this. Tell your friends. Do what you got to do. Y'all have a great time, and I will see you tomorrow.